Hello and welcome to It Matters, a program where we talk about Northeastern issues through interviews, editorials, and field reports. We believe no story should be left behind. And today, I am in Imphal with a very senior, veteran citizen of Manipur who has dedicated his life to the state of Manipur, Shri R.K. Meghen, the former UNLF chief, Rajkumar Meghen, has consented to talk to us about issues which affects his state, that is Manipur. Thank you, Mr. Meghen, for giving us an opportunity to talk to you. Welcome to the show. Sir, I would start my line of questioning with the present situation.
Right.
What is your assessment of Manipur situation and what do you think is the mood of the people?
Well, as far as I see, I can only say that sentiment and emotion are very high among the masses of the people. I have gone around places where victims are taking place in the relief camps and where fighting with the cookies happening from time to time. And everywhere I went, I could see only one thing written in the faces of the people out there, that they are, they feel that they're being left alone from those who are supposed to look after them, the state. The first responsibility of a state, of a government, is to protect the life and property of its citizens. I believe that in this area, the governments, the center or here, have not done much to restore the confidence of the people.
What do you think, sir? There, I have been into the field and people are very emotive, where in their own land they have become refugees.
Right.
And it's not a landslide or a flood; it's a man-made
Right.
situation.
Right.
So, what do you think is people's mood in terms of those angles?
Yes, it is not a natural calamity.
Right.
I would say this situation is a product of partisan politics, sectarian politics, I would say, and victims happen to be the common people, always in such cases. Churasanpur, More, Torbong, whatever, wherever. They are the unarmed Métis, common people, who have lost their houses, business establishments, and lost near and dear ones. So the only thing they want, some of them want revenge, naturally. They want to go back to Churasanpur and fight. About the younger victims, younger generation victims. But what I feel is that immediate steps should be taken for those victims who cannot go to resettle in their own homes, say in Churasanpur, in More, and in the North Eco. About a couple of villages are there, totally wiped out. In Churasanpur, More, nothing remains there, which you can call once a Métis settlement. All being bulldozed and level off, just level ground is there. So the first priority of the government is to resettle them somewhere where they can at least work earn a living, do some kitchen garden or whatever it is, send their kids, children to the schools so that they can adjust.
Similarly, the Kuki communities have also had an exodus.
Right.
Lots of people, 10,700 people, last reported to be in Mizoram.
Right.
Many are in Barak Valley. Many are in. How do you see this situation to be back to where the status quo can be maintained? How do we go about it?
Well, it will take time. Human emotion and sentiment, takes time to settle. It's not a mechanical functioning. It's a natural process of healing is required from a very humane perspective. And you need a sincere effort to address their grievances. Particularly that they're being cared for. That, feeling is lacking, absolutely lacking. Now they are in the relief camps. It's almost 1.5 months now. And so far, I have not seen anything. Concrete steps being taken to resettle them somewhere where they can at least breathe fresh air.
Do you think, sir, like those 10 MLAs who have revolted against their own party, and whatever this 3rd May incident has happened, this is something which is irreparable, or there is a reconciliation problem or something? Do you see any future in political settlement?
Well, in politics, if we speak in terms of politics, in politics, everything is possible. But I must say that those MLAs have done a very big mistake in doing so. Because from India's constitutional viewpoints, they could have been booked for violating the constitution, for attempting to break up a state, which is what they exactly did in writing, isn't it?
Sir, overall, this conflict, where do you think is the fault line, and who is responsible and whom should be accountable? Because this is what the question of the people are coming. Where does the fault line remains?
Basically, the fault line begins with the illegal immigrants from Myanmar. Of course, Kuki migration into Manipur began in the 18th century, middle of 18th century. And then after the British came, then they brought in Kukis from Myanmar for their administrative necessities, purposes. But then it is after, 1947 that Kukis also have, started to cross into Manipur, to cross the international border into Manipur. But massive influx of Myanmari Kukis began in the late 1990s. From that time till now, we have about 1,600 Kuki villages unregistered in government records, which is quite a big number. As I have said earlier in some other channels, in 2011 census, Kuki-dominated areas indicated an increase of population by 35%. 35%. It's not a small joke. Actually, it has, created a demographic imbalance, which sent out an alarming situation to other communities.
Do you think, sir, on this issue, Assam has already highlighted that there is a Bangladesh influx people, and they have taken steps.
Right.
do you think in Manipur, if this is the crux issue, then government is not doing sufficient to identify, or maybe we are not able to identify what is the problem? That we are talking about narco-terrorism, but the real issue may be somewhere else.
Well, narco-terrorism is not the real issue. It is the manifestation of that politics, the real issue. The real issue lies in the fact that across the international border, Myanmari nationals, whether Kukishin or whatever, is illegally migrating into Manipur. And who are responsible to look into this matter, to stop this influx? Either the government of India or the state government.
And do you think they have really failed into this stopping this migration issue? Because then it becomes a refugee problem.
Yes. I won't use the term failed, but I feel, and I have every reason to believe that it was simply, indifference for a purpose, maybe.
What could be the purpose, sir? Like, who should be made accountable? Because this is what the big question for people of whole of Northeast. It's slowly evolving.
Yeah. But I think border management, the subject is with the government of India. So primarily, the government of India should take responsibility. But as you know, the suspension of operations agreement, tripartite agreement between Kuki armed groups, the central government, and the Manipur government, it was signed in 2008. And still going on, 14 years. Why? For a purpose.
Sir, we get reports that in the bordering of Manipur, that is bordering with Myanmar, there are insurgent groups, or there are groups like PDF, which we are now hearing. What is your take on PDF, which is a very new thing which we are hearing?
PDF is supposed to be the armed wing of the democracy movement against the military regime in Myanmar. Of course, there are reports that PDF is being supported from this side of the border. Must be Myanmar military regime also knowing it. But PDF is also constituted mainly by Kukishin tribes. So once they cross into Manipur, and they become, maybe KNA, UNLF. Once they cross into Myanmar, they become PDF.
Now, UNLF chairperson has recently released a statement. We cannot validate that statement, but he has clearly stated that the central government has promised many demand of there, and for that the election process was there. Now, we cannot validate this, but definitely these talks are coming and creating lots of chaos. Is it a political statement, or how do you see these things? In the ground, what is the reality?
Well, I also had a feeling that in the last elections, the BJP actually tried to win the confidence of the armed groups so that they can use their power to return BJP candidates. And out of how many candidates, 7 or 9, 7 were returned, 2 were ZDU. So even if you don't have a concrete proof of that, there have been rumors around, going on that some distinct promises were made to the Kuki armed groups, particularly in the suspension of operations. That was there. So maybe for election purposes, the government of India and state government, maybe together during the election campaign, must have given some assurances.
But this is a border, international border, and this is playing with fire then.
Right, right.
How do we resolve this? Like, what is the solution ahead? Because I think the communities also have to accept that migration or illegal migration will hamper everybody.
Right.
So, what is your take on the solution, immediate and future solution?
Well, to ease the situation right now, so that hostilities can be brought to a standstill, then both sides need to do some soul searching, particularly the cookies, that they need to accept the reality that there is an international border right now. So long as that is there, wherever it is, they're kith and kin, they're once on the other side of the border, they are foreigners.
As we have in Pakistan border,
yes,
Bangladesh border.
Right. So, if they accept
do you think
this
that part is missing from this narrative? Like they are not
very
ready,
much.
ready to accept this?
Yes, it is.
Because it's an
is
international
missing.
reality.
Right. It is missing. The real issue is missing.
So, what would be your message to the leaders of the cookie communities?
Well, my message to them is that we need to understand together the objective reality, the reality that rules, the existence of our peoples. So, if they accept the reality, our cookies on the other side of the border, they are kith and kin, and they also may be our brothers, if we look at from that view, from that perspective. And if they accept this reality, then a new situation can be created. Because all along, there has not been any such incident that armed cookies have attacked the Métis, unarmed Métis, the first time. And here I have a big question, why so? Is there any third party behind who instigated the cookies to attack the Métis?
What could be so? What do you think could be probable?
Well, maybe creating such a scenario, that the conflict between the cookies and Métis, now the killing. In such a situation, one can expect the revolutionary groups, armed groups, to come and join the fighting against the cookies. Once they are in the field fighting against the cookies, then, the government of India may think that they can be, they can conduct combing operations to apprehend them.
But this is a very dangerous strategy for a mighty government. Anyway, what do you think will be the immediate solution which government of India and the state government, particularly I have been seeing that the BJP as a party or any other party, they all are rushing to Delhi to meet Prime Minister of India, but Prime Minister has not yet. Don't you think they should be with their constituent in rehabilitation process? And what is your take on this, public leaders?
Well, that's right. The representatives of the peoples who have been with their own people in their constituencies or among the affected areas. That is right. But one thing, the Métis as a people, they are not happy about the silence of the Prime Minister. They are not happy because he rushed to Orissa
But do you think, don't you think we can also term it that Prime Minister is very pained because he was very hopeful with Manipur?
Right.
Maybe he is very, very pained. That silence could also be termed into
Yeah,
that.
well, the silence is very deafening, a deafening silence. I don't know what message it's giving, but I mean, the message being received by the
People.
Meitei people is they are not happy. At least one word could have consoled them. Of course, he sent his Home Minister, and Home Minister sort of promised that he will come after 15 days. Now it's 15 days gone. The people is yet to see him here, you know. So these things, you know.
But Home Minister has also commented that for illegal immigration they will do biometric. That means indirectly he is also accepting that there is a, because for biometric they will not do it for giving Aadhaar card, they should be doing it for some purpose.
Right.
And there is a strong, Chief Minister has also said that strong military is there, 40,000 additional military is there. So what do you see of these developments? How do you see two developments?
Well, about the biometrics, well, if at all this step is taken, and that may solve at least about 45% of the problem. But the real issue is to win over the heart and minds of the people, you know. That is there. And it doesn't need much money also, you know. It's about, you know,
Humanity.
humanity, you know. That was lacking.
What do you take about this 40,000 additional military which is present? We are not seeing where they are.
That is the question I was about to ask, you know. Why so many forces? To contain or to check or stop the fighting between the Kukis and the Meiteis, which the Kukis started. Why so many forces? Excessive forces. Why? There must be a purpose for that.
Do you think we are going to go for a international government of India fears an international issue, or it's an internal issue? Because that the 355 is basically, the first clause is to protect the state from external aggression.
Yeah.
So
Well,
do you also read that there is an external
well,
aggression?
for that matter, the government has clarified that Article 355 has not been invoked. It's not enforced. So we thought that Article 355 has been, you know, enforced, but the government has clarified that it is not enforced. So maybe, I don't know, maybe a second thought, maybe. But absolutely, at this point of time, if you read an external threat, I think there will be too much. I mean, exposing your own weaknesses.
So do you also think, sir, this Manipur conflict will be a very, very strong message to rest of India, that rest of India starts debating, maybe in parliament, maybe in their civil societies, or maybe in political studies, that there is a need for relook the federal structure of India?
Absolutely, absolutely. All along, you know, I have stated in earlier also about the practice of the Constitution of India, particularly in Manipur or elsewhere in India. In the last 70 years, the Constitution has been amended about 120 times, and it still needs to be amended, if at all. The idea of India has to survive. India is evolving, changing, and in the initial stages, maybe a very highly centralized union government may have been a necessity, but 75 years on now, it is not so. It needs to be, restructured so that the states enjoy more power. Only the residual powers remain with the center. That may be the
have
ultimate.
more power for the state.
Right.
I think, is it a two-party system is okay or multiple political parties should be flourishing? Because what we are seeing when it comes to a national party, whatever the central leader says are being followed, but it should be otherwise around.
Well, for that matter, the very idea of democracy, the concept of democracy in India, also needs to be looked into. We look. Of course, multi-party system is not working in favor of India. It's not so. Multi-party system creates many divisions, at different levels. But whereas unity in India, as well as in Manipur. So what the constitution has been doing in its practice in Manipur is that it has been dividing among the hill and valley, between the hill and the valley, among the hill peoples, among the valley peoples, all around by this, constitutional compartmentalization of scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBC, and now what you have, weaker, economically weaker sections of society. These things create only enmities for
Identity
politics. Right.
My last question, sir, you have given lots of time. This Manipur conflict, will it have effect on northeastern other states in terms of migration, economic development, because we have road blockades, we have developmental issues which are very, very necessary, but everything is getting stuck.
Well, if not properly handled, it may spill into other states also, neighboring states. If not properly handled, and if the confidence and trust of the people concerned are not restored in good time, maybe it may spill over to neighboring states. It has all the potential.
Thank you, Meghen sir. It is always a pleasure to speak to this gentleman whom I have been talking for a couple of time, and we hope his wisdom, his leadership, his vision would make Manipur come towards peace, progress and prosperity. I am Biswadeep with Barun Thopcham in Imphal. Thank you for watching the show.